IELTS Writing Task 1 Bar chart. The chart below shows the number of men and women in further education in Britain in 3 periods and whether they were studying full-time or part-time. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. Write at least 150 words. The bar chart illustrates, shows, displays, demonstrates, indicates, describes. Illustrates, portraits, proves the men and women who studied part-time and full-time in 3 different periods. In all time periods, both men and women vary involved in part-time education than full-time education. Overall, the number of women in full-time education rose from approximately 700,000, whereas the number of men in part-time education was lower in the early 90s compared to the 70s. As far as women are concerned, the numbers increased in both sectors of education. The number of part-time students increased dramatically from 700,000 to the 1.2 million in the 20 years. Furthermore, the number of women in full-time education went up more gradually and from 100,000 in 1971 to just over 200,000 in 1991. This was similar to the increase in full-time male students. To sum up, the number of women in both sectors increased significantly, while it seems that the number of men entering part-time education decreased a little and was fluctuating. The given bar graphs show data on the British people's full-time and part-time further education from 1970 to 1991. As is presented in the graphs, more men and women were studying full-time than part-time for the given period. Initially, in 1970 and 1971, about 1,000 male were in full-time further education, and this number decreased to average 850,000 for 1980 and 1990. On the contrary, this number for part-time students increased over the time, though the number was many times lower than the number of people in full-time education. In 1970, almost 100,000 people were in part-time education, and in next 20 years, this number increased to 200,000. On the other hand, in 1970, the total number of females who were engaged in full-time education was 700,000, and this number increased over time and reached to 11,000 in 1990-91, which was even higher than the number of males who were in full-time further education in this year. The female part-time students number also increased over time and reached to over 200,000 in 1990 from the initial number of 20,000 in 1970. In summary, females made progress over their male counterparts in terms of their involvement in full-time and part-time education in Britain for the given period. Approximately 213 words.